So I was 6 months into it, and I was 2 weeks behind where I should have been, just because life had gotten in the way. Right? And so the next morning, I wake up and start to read, extra motivated, because I'm like, I got problems, and like I said, that's a lot of times we forget to go to God when it's good, and only when we need something, right? And so I start reading, and my reading is John chapter 11, which talks about Lazarus, and I get to John 11:4, where they've come to Jesus, telling him the one. Ooh, this is hard to. Telling him the one that he loves is sick, and that's where he says that this sickness will not end in death; it'll be used for God's glory. And so John 11:4 is the basis of Rise, and again, it's that moment. I was like, okay, well, I asked for a sign. I think you might be giving me one. And so over the course of the next 3 weeks, I can't get in to see the doctor. I'm pretty sure I have cancer. I don't know for sure I have cancer. We go to the beach with my family for the week. I haven't told anybody but my wife, and it's just weighing on me hard, and I'm trying to put on this front and just uncertain and unsure and angry and just trying to figure it all out. And finally, a couple weeks later, I get to the doc, and he's
All right. Well, welcome back to the Everland podcast. Lee's just still laughing. I'm going with it, dude. You ain't going to get me to stop now.
Nope.
It is going to be a fun day. So I'm really excited to introduce to you a gentleman that we got the privilege to meet down at the NWTF show. Got to know a little bit about his company and got to know a little bit about him. And we were both like,
I think what we got to witness to was my favorite part.
yeah, hands down. Like, I mean, I was just talking to my wife about Eric coming on, and she was like, just make sure that he knows how much it was just like a true blessing to her and to us of like, his family coming together and praying over the beginning of the show and just how amazing their family was and just to witness it. And like, I think that's the key to this episode is like witnessing the love of Christ and witnessing a family just going about and doing their business that they're called to do and doing it together was just a true gift. And so we will introduce now Eric and let him just kind of tell his story a little bit about who he is and Rise and all of that fun stuff. So thanks for being here, bro. We're really excited that you're doing this.
And I love that we're all wearing the same shirt.
Yeah. It's like, just a different version, a slightly different version of the camo.
Yeah, I assumed that you were going to be wearing the shirt, so I like actually told Jay, like, you need to go in the house and get your sweatshirt on so we can just all twin.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you joining, Eric.
it's been yeah, glad to be here, man. Thank y'all for having me. And it's been cool. Like I've been seeing these shirts pop up everywhere, and it's so surreal and abnormal to me because I started Rise about 2 years ago, and nobody but about 30 friends and family knew about it until about 30 days ago. So it's been one of those things that is truly, I mean, it's been humbling and surreal and overwhelming, and just been awesome to see how hungry people are for faith forward clothing and Jesus and turkeys. And it was just like you were talking about. I try to explain to people what happened at NWTF, and it's just hard to explain. I tell people it was half turkey calling, half t-shirt selling, half revival meeting, half homecoming. It was all these things wrapped up, and it was super cool just to be in an area where people were so encouraging about their faith in the outdoors. And it was cool, man. So yeah, glad to be here to talk about it. Thank y'all for inviting.
Yeah, I think so I'll put everybody in our perspective of our shoes before we dive into your story. So we roll into the NWTF very last minute, like, hey, you guys got a spot. Come to find out, you and I booked. I actually wanted your booth space, but you made the decision about 15 minutes before I could make it a decision. So you got that corner. So I was like, all right, well, someone just booked that, so now we're stuck against the wall. It ended up working out great for us. But so we're setting up, and you guys are setting. You guys got there a little bit earlier before we did. You're setting up, and I look over, I'm like, wow, love Jesus hunt turkeys. That's just like, I instantly was like, well, that's one of the coolest T-shirts I've ever seen in my life. I'm like, that's cool. Didn't think much of it after that. Day one rolls around, the doors open to the show. And so like where we were positioned, people had to they came into the show, kind of got shoved into this little side corner of the NWTF convention to loop them around. And it's almost like a one-off location. It's not the main area. So the people that came in here, it was funny. They would look at us, and then they would glance over to the right, and instantly would just get sucked into your guys' booth space. I mean, I bet within every day of the show opening, your place had the most attraction around it instantly. It's like people never heard of you, never saw it. Just everything when they saw your T-shirts and read "Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys," it just sucked them in. It was great,
dude. There was always constantly clothing coming off the racks. People just every time I looked across the aisle, and it was really cool. One of the mornings, I remember the one. Did you remember the dude that hit the pole?
I missed it. I was I was looking to see what they were running.
Did you
towards.
see the guy that hit the pole? Or you didn't see him laid out? One of the mornings, man, they opened the thing, and I found out there was some celebrity hunter down the road, or 2 booths down, that was down there, and they were trying to meet her, and they came flying around the corner, and the dude had a cup of coffee, and there's a big, huge, pole that holds up the building, and he started wiping out, and he slammed into the side of the thing. Coffee goes everywhere, and then they the people that were with him looked up, and they were like. They no, they looked up at your booth, and they were like, we're coming back. And they ran down, and then 10 minutes later, they all walked back, and they were back up in there.
It must have been something about that pole, because that was day 2, because day 1, a dog
hit the pole.
Did not hit it, just left its breakfast in front of the pole.
Oh.
You got a stink bug crawling up.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah,
the puking dog. I wasn't there for that. So, well, awesome. Well, it's fun. It was cool, and we were very blessed. And not to picking on other shows, but that show, it encouraged me. My wife was there, and so now in a couple weeks we're doing another show, and seeing your all's family there doing it and just having so much fun with it. We're bringing our kids to the next show and just gonna go have fun and do it as a family thing. So excited about that, but really just kind of on my heart was to hear from you. You shared a little bit about your life journey and your story and serving this country and all that kind of stuff. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about that. And so if you wouldn't mind diving into that and just tell us where Rise came from, you, and a little bit of background of you, man.
Yeah, and so I'll kind of start at the end and then go to the beginning. When we showed up at NWTF, same as y'all, right? One thing I'll talk about today is walking through open doors, right? Mm-hmm. And just one thing that I've always struggled with as a type A go-do guy is relinquishing control and having faith and just trusting God. I've always struggled with that. Because there have been very few things in my life that I've either, through resources, talent, hard work, help from others have not been able to accomplish. And so, really to trust God in these instances, it's counter to everything that I've done up to this point. But, that's where the grace and faith piece comes in for me, is that, we can't do it on our own. We have to trust God. And so, with NWTF, like I said, I started Rise probably 2 years ago, and I'll kind of get to that point. But we had probably sold 100 T-shirts over the last year. Like I said, to friends and family, maybe total. And I had a desire to get into NWTF because I had a feeling, and I felt like God was pushing me to tell this story. And I felt like if I could get in front of the right people and tell the story, that people would have a real appetite for it, and I could do some good things with it. And so I applied to be at NWTF 26 the day NWTF 25 finished. And I think I was 85 on the waiting list for a whole year. And in December of last year, after repeatedly calling and texting and emailing and advocating to get a booth, I finally got told, hey, you're not going to get a booth. You're 85 on the waiting list. And this is mid-December, so there's not, more than likely we're never going to get to you, but hopefully in 27 you can get there. And so I kind of resigned that we wouldn't get there. And then mid-January, I got an email probably about the same time y'all did that said, hey, there's a booth space. You got 48 hours to respond. I tell people I took about 48 seconds. Yes, I'm in.
You were quick.
And my wife was like, well, how much is it? I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, what are we going to take up there? I was like, I don't know. She's like, well, how? I was like, look, here's what I know. I was told we don't have a booth, and now we got a chance to get a booth. And I said, I think this is what we need to do. And so over the course of about 3 weeks, like I said, I had no inventory, no apparel experience, no show experience, no staff, no employees, no money.
So let me ask you, what was Rise before that, though? So back it up a little bit. What was Rise? You started it.
So I'll get to that, right?
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
Sorry. But so we in 3 weeks we got about 2,000 pieces of inventory. We had friends and family lay out of work and school to come up there and travel with us. I was supposed to be gone 2 of those 3 weeks to an Army course that got canceled because of the weather, which has never happened in my 23 years in the Army. So I got 2 weeks back to work on a booth and stuff. I bought a trailer in Colorado to move home because we've been out there for the past year and a half that I really didn't need and really couldn't afford. And all of a sudden had an enclosed trailer to get us to Nashville with all this stuff. And so God had kind of teed up all these things over the past 4-ish years to get us to this point. And I really think, that was kind of, for me, that was the culminating event of like, all right, this is what this has all been for. Because once we got there, and like you said, I mean, we were able to talk with people, tell a story, we were able to pray with people, we were able to just, provide an avenue for people to talk about faith and talk about hunting. And so for me, it was really apparent, like, hey, this is what this has all been for. And so this whole thing started in Christmas of 2021. My career has been in sales and in the military, really for 20 years. And my career in the military, I'm in the National Guard. And so it's been, for me, most of the time a part-time gig and been in sales on the civilian side. But Christmas of 21, I get a package from a customer of mine who's in his 60s. We're friends. We've hunted together. Great guy. He's a believer. And, I assumed it was like smoked sausage or cheeses or something for Christmas to say thanks for business, right? But I open it up and it's the John Maxwell Leadership Bible. And there's a handwritten letter in there that says, Eric, I've read a different version of the Bible all the way through every year for the last 17 years. It's changed my life. I find the daily time I spend in there to be relevant for that day, to be just to bring a ton of value. I have a different copy of the Bible now to give to all my kids and grandkids. He's like, and I challenge you in 2022 to do the same. He's like, no strings attached. This isn't a business transaction. He said, I just want you to know that I think your life will be better if you do this. And so I'd never read the Bible all the way through. I grew up in church, Sundays and Wednesdays, but really for about 20 years, I ran from God pretty hard. And my running was, I believe, to be almost worse than others who were ignorant, right? Because I knew better, right? And I made a willful choice not to do the right things. And there was, for me too, knowing better, there's a lot of shame that came with that. And so, this Christmas, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take this challenge and do it. And partly because I'm type A, and anytime somebody gives me a challenge, I like to do it, right? Part of it is because my grandmother, who I was really close with, she had read the Bible so many times she forgot how many times she'd read it. So it was something that had always kind of been present in my life, that accomplishment. And so I started in January of 22, got a year-long reading plan and started reading. And fast forward to June of 22, I grew up going to a Baptist boys camp in the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in South Carolina called Camp McCall. I spent, every summer, spent like a week there. It's where I got saved. Just a really special place to me. It was somewhere I would always feel grounded and kind of get recentered with God growing up. And my son was finally old enough to go to that camp that summer. So I was super excited about it. The dads and the boys at that age go together for like 3 days. And so, I'm reading this Bible challenge, just, I'm living the dream. I got a good job. I got a family. Like we're doing well according to the world and America standards. get up to camp, have a great time that weekend, just do all kinds of cool stuff. Actually reconnected. The camp director was a counselor when I was a kid, and we were buddies and hadn't seen him in like 25 years. And so I got a chance to reconnect with him, which was super cool. He's a Navy guy too. So we talked some military stuff, and then got back from camp on that Sunday night, and just something wasn't right health-wise. And, I could tell something was off. And so, I've been a really fit guy my whole life. Is something that's important to me is health and fitness. And it oftentimes has been an idol in my life, right? Of being crazy about working out or eating right or doing things. And so I go to the doctor that Tuesday, and that Tuesday night, at about 9 o'clock, I get a ping in my chart with some reports from some tests, and I figure out more than likely I have testicular cancer. And so, I'm 41, about to be 42. And I got 2 young kids and a wife, and I'm sitting there on my back porch, and I'm just like, holy cow, man, I got cancer. And I'm trying to get a hold of the doctor, and finally get a hold of him at like 9 o'clock at night. And he's a younger guy, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. We'll figure this out. Like, he didn't think it was anything serious when I was there that day. And so my wife comes out, and we started crying, and this part's always tough. And she's just pleading with me like, hey, don't leave us, I can't lose you. And so I go inside, and I try to hold it together best I can on the porch, but I go inside, and I'm in the shower, and I just get on my knees and just finally relent and relinquish. And I'm like, in somewhat of a defiant manner, almost, it's like, hey, you want to kill me? Kill me. If you're not. But I said, I can't do anything. I'm helpless. Like, you got me, and I was just like, I'm gonna give it to you. And just, only thing I'll ask is just take care of my family. And, I prayed and wept a lot that night. And so next morning I get up, and I'm extra motivated to get back on my Bible plan, because obviously, like a lot of us, we don't really turn to God until things get rough.
I was going to say, when you found this out, what point were you on your daily devotion Bible journey? Was this like, did you start the journey, kind of pause, find out the news, and then go back to it, or were you still going through that every day?
So I was 6 months into it, and I was 2 weeks behind where I should have been. Just life had gotten in the way.
Yeah.
Right? And so the next morning I wake up and start to read, extra motivated, because I'm like, I got problems. And like I said, that's a lot of times we forget to go to God when it's good, and only when we need something, right? And so I start reading, and my reading is John chapter 11, which talks about Lazarus. And I get to John 11:4, where, they've come to Jesus, telling him this is hard too, telling him the one that he loves is sick. And that's where he says that, this sickness will not end in death. It'll be used for God's glory. And so John 11:4 is really the basis of Rise. And, again, it's that moment. I was like, okay, well, I asked for a sign. I think you might be giving me one. And so over the course of the next 3 weeks, I can't get in to see the doctor. I'm pretty sure I have cancer. I don't know for sure I have cancer. We go to the beach with my family for the week. I haven't told anybody but my wife, and it's just weighing on me hard, and I'm trying to put on this front, and just uncertain and unsure and angry and just trying to figure it all out. And finally, a couple weeks later, I get to the doc, and he's a great doc, and he's really dry. And he walks in, he's like, "Hey," he says, "nice to meet you. 99% chance you got cancer. We'll cut it out. You'll be fine." He's like, "You got any questions?" I was like,
"A few."
Yeah. When can we go? He's like, when you want to do the surgery? I'm like, what you doing after lunch today? Let's go. So But he's like, you got scanned to make sure you don't have it anywhere else, right? I'm like, no. He's like, yeah, you need to go do that and make sure you're not eat up with it. And I'm like, okay. So I go get a scan that afternoon. And that was really the point where when I read the results that, it appeared to be isolated. And, that was a point of really for me to say, all right, like all these things are lining up. Like the sickness not going into death. I don't have cancer everywhere else. And end up having surgery, got cancer removed. And then for me at that point, it was really like, it was less than a month from you're healthy, you have cancer, you don't have cancer, you're good to go. Right. And so that's a very short time to kind of process a lot of things.
It's funny looking back. You started this conversation with how God lined you up to be prepared for the NWTF show, and I mean, just from hearing this, your story, it's honestly like He was molding every part of your life to be prepared for all the news that you're going to get. How you started, like you said, I'm in almost the exact same boat as you. Grew up in a church. And finally was challenged to actually just read the Bible. So I'm through my Bible journey now, or going through my Bible journey now of reading it from beginning to end. And it's like God, like however that came about to you start reading the Bible, like I can just imagine how different things could have been if you weren't going through that journey at that moment.
Man, yeah, I mean, like it, all these things that I look back on now, right? Over really forever. I mean, I think God put me in Camp McCall as a kid and then back there again as an adult because He knew the day I left there, like I was going to have cancer, and He knew that I needed to be there that weekend before I started that journey.
Amen.
And so, all these things with these doors, right? And I'll use buying the trailer as the most recent thing. Like I didn't really have money set aside to buy an enclosed trailer, right? And I was trying to sell it the day after I bought it, right? And I looked at it as a bad thing, but God knew in 3 weeks I was going to need that trailer, right? To go to NWTF to get all the gear out there. And so looking back on all these things that I considered to be bad at the time or didn't understand or weren't part of, my plan, now I realize there was intent and purpose behind all of it. And so, so really, after the surgery with cancer, like I really struggled with the why, and my why was like, why'd you give me cancer? Why didn't I kill me? And what am I supposed to do? I don't like, what am I supposed to do with it? Because I did not feel worthy. I didn't tell the story about my reading for a long time. Like very few people knew about it, even up into the point, like my best friend, I spoke at a church this past Saturday. My best friend came and he's like, I've never heard that. And I was like, I didn't tell a lot of people about it, right? Because there was a lot of shame with me associated with my past. And I didn't really feel worthy to tell the story. And I think, in the time kind of between 2022 and 2024, like God started really working on me to help me. My shame is derived from my arrogance, right? Mm-hmm. Because I think the things that I've done, there's no way that God could fix them, that God could fix me, right? And that is an extremely arrogant perspective. And so I think God really worked on me to be like, hey, I've been using dirty, rotten sinners for forever. You're just one of them, and I'm going to put you to work too, right? And so, and really, He's like, you can fight it if you want.
Yeah, you can Jonah this all day long if you want to, but I'm going to use you. Yeah, for sure.
And so, so I really kind of struggle with the why over the next 6, 8, 9 months, and then, another idol in my life has been hunting a lot of times, and so. As usual, I started the spring of 23 turkey hunting and had a chance to back into the single season Grand Slam that I never intended to do it, but just some things lined up to back into the single season Grand Slam. And for me, that was kind of going to be my way to fix things and win and get back on top after cancer and a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna nail this and get the Grand Slam, be another check in the block, another accomplishment in my life, and something I can take pride in. And so it just kind of lines up where I get an Eastern, I get an Osceola, I go out to Colorado on spring break with the family and get a Merriam's. And so I'm like, hey, well, I just need a Rio to get this slam, right? And I could do it in a single season, which for me, the slam had always been kind of this distant goal. Just because of work and family and stuff, I never really had an opportunity to dedicate a lot of time in the spring to hunting. But I always wanted to, and every time I could go, I went. But I started talking to my wife flying back to Colorado on spring break, and I was like, and you know how we always phrase this question, like, I'm just saying, like,
I'm just saying,
there's a unique opportunity here, right? That I may have.
I had that.
That maybe the Lord made a way for. That's the mistake that I make, is that it's the Lord might have put this path before me here.
And so, it was, I said, look, I got a chance. She's like, just do it, just go. And, so as soon as we got back from Colorado, I start planning to see where I can go kind of late season with the traditional Rio population in the Southwest there, or Midwest. And, so I figured I was too late to get to Texas just with their seasons and the people I know there. Made some calls in Oklahoma, but couldn't get lined up. But found a farmer in Kansas that had a spot, and I could get to it and get an over-the-counter license. And so I'm struggling to balance all this with work and family and money and like, all right, how am I going to get out there and do this? And in the meantime, the season's still in here, and there's I'm always a big proponent of getting kids turkeys and taking people to get their first bird and do that. And that's something that I really enjoy and always love seeing the look on their face when they kill their first turkey. And so I got a good buddy whose son, we're trying to get him a bird. And I was in a club down kind of in what they call the PD area of South Carolina, going towards Myrtle Beach. And there was a young guy in that club named Jack Henry. And he was between undergrad and a grad program and jobs. And he was down there just killing turkeys like all spring. I mean, just hunting every day. And I called him. I said, hey, man. And I've never met this kid. We were in the same club, and he had been on some group text. I said, hey, you don't know me. But I said, I'm trying to get a kid this turkey. And I just want to check and make sure you haven't killed every turkey on the property before I drop 3 hours and take him hunting. He was like, no. He's like, actually, I'm tagged out. He said, but I got a bird on camera. It's in this field every day. He said, y'all can probably kill it, if you want to get down there. And I said, awesome. So I called my friend Skip and said, hey, take your son out of school tomorrow. We're going down there to hunt. I said, I got a meeting in Columbia. We're going to go kill this turkey, and then I can go to the meeting. Y'all come home. He's like, all right, let me check on some things and call you right back. So he calls me back and he said, hey, man, we can't make it work. And I was like, you sure? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I had to get down there anyway for a meeting. So I went, and the next morning I killed that turkey and sent him a picture of the turkey. And he calls me. He's like, hey, I didn't think you were going without us. I said, here's what you need to understand. I was like, when I say we're going to kill this turkey, like, we're going to kill this.
The turkey's going to die whether you're there or not.
You're welcome to come, and your son can have the bird. But if not, the turkey's still going to get killed. And he learned pretty quickly now. When I call and say it's time to go, he's like, yep, we're in. We're going. So I was very grateful to Jack Henry for giving me that bird. And I was calling him. I said, yeah, man, I'm trying to figure out the logistics over the next week or so to get this single season slam if I can get to Kansas. But I don't have anybody to go with me, and I don't know if I can make it work. And he said, I'll go. And I was like, to Kansas? He was like, yeah. I was like, with me? He's like, yeah. I was like, and there's 20 years difference between us. I've never met this kid. I'm like, you serious? He said, yeah. I said, okay. So I kind of put together the logistics, and the night before we fly to Kansas is the first time I meet him. He brings some stuff to my house, and we fly out to Kansas and get out there and put some birds to bed, and the next morning go back in, and they flew down, and they went across the property line with some hens, and we didn't have a chance that morning. But I don't know if you've ever been to Kansas, but there's like 4 trees in the whole state. We were sitting in 3 of them. All right, so I was like, these birds have to come back here.
Easy to
roost.
find turkeys there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And so I told him, I was like, I'm just gonna hang out. And he got antsy and went somewhere else. And sure enough, about lunchtime, I've been there 6 or 7 hours. I hear a bird gobbling. I see a hen dusting and start working back. And this bird, we're in a cottonwood blowdown on a creek, and this bird gets behind the log and he's strutting. And I can hear him drumming. I can see his wingtips and his spurs, but I can't see anything else because he's behind this big cottonwood blowdown. And so I'm waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally, he starts to work around this log. And so I didn't realize this part of the story until recently. A buddy of mine was like, what you're describing sounds completely improbable, right? Like it should not have happened that way. And so this bird's working around the log, and he's at 30 yards from me. And he finally gets his head above where I can shoot. And I've got a 20 gauge shotgun with TSS and a red dot, and I shoot and I hit him, and he rolls up and he stands back up. I shuck a shell. I hit him again. He rolls up, stands back up. And in the third shell, I shoot and split a small tree in half, and he takes off running. I had left, because we've been there so long, I left my ammo sitting beside me. And I just take off after this turkey with a shotgun, just running as hard as I can, dead sprint, chasing him for half a mile. And his willingness to live was greater than my conviction to catch him. And so he outran me. And the fact that I missed that turkey at 30 yards was very improbable with TSS, especially 3 shots, right? And so I think, obviously now looking back, it was, I believe it was a God thing, right? Because if I'd have killed that turkey, none of this happens. And so I hit my knees after the turkey outran me, and I just started crying, and I called my wife, and she's like, what is wrong? And I was like, I messed it up. I missed the turkey. Like, this was going to be my way to win. This is going to be my way to fix it. Like, this is how I was going to be back on top. And she just starts consoling me. Like, hey, like, it's just a turkey. I was like, I know it's just a turkey to you. I was like, but for me, like, I've been struggling with all these whys behind this cancer, and I need a win, and this would be my win, and it's not. Yeah, I messed it up. And we keep hunting, go to another piece of property that afternoon and meet with a farmer, and we see a gobbler going up and over the hill. And we look at a map, and we figure out we can probably circle back around, and he's headed this pond. We cut him off, and it's like something you see on Saturday mornings growing up. I mean, this turkey comes over the hill with a hen. The hen breaks off. He sees a decoy, blows up in a strut, starts running down the hill, gobbling the whole way. And he's probably 70, 80 yards out. My buddy's like, who's going to shoot? I was like, look, man, I said, you shoot. I missed. You take this turkey, right? And so he shoots, kills the turkey, hammer dead. We're hugging and high-fiving. And he's like, man, that's the most selfless thing I've ever seen anybody do. And I was like, I don't worry about it. I was like, we'll get on another bird. And it was an opportunity for me to give him a bird back after he gave me that one. And I never really kind of put it together because I was like, man, we've been here for 10 hours and we've already got on 2 turkeys. This would be a no-brainer. Like, I'll get another shot. We hunted hard for 2 or 3 days, and I never got another opportunity. We even extended our flight to catch a red eye back on Sunday so we could hunt that afternoon. And I landed and went straight to work on Monday, and just really bummed out and really not understanding why all that happened. This was another negative thing, right? But looking back now, it was me trying to plug a hole in my life with another idol that wasn't God, right? And so I keep living and keep going and have all these questions for about another 8 or 9 months. And then February 21st of 24, I literally just woke up and was like, drew a logo that was the word rise with 11-4 in it, in a turkey. And I told my wife, I was like, I think now I know what I'm supposed to do. And she was like, what? I said, I think I'm supposed to tell this story about how nothing's going to plug a hole in your life but God. I said, and I think I need to do it in the outdoor space because that's where I have passion for it. And that's where I think he took that idol I had of hunting and took it away. And so I made a dozen hats with that logo on it. And then still, like, in shameful reluctance, I wouldn't tell anybody the story about 11-4 and the turkeys and kind of, you know, my experience and my thoughts about how, you know, God's the only one that's going to plug the hole, unless they asked me about it while we were hunting. If they did, I would tell them the story and give them a hat. And every time I told that story, people were like, man, you got to tell that story. Like, you got to keep telling it. And so God really led us to go to Colorado later that year. We didn't have that on our radar. And we got a ton of green lights from God to go out there. I mean, from everything to placing friends in front of us 20 minutes after I about how to, you know, I had a lot of questions about whether we should go or not. And we had some immediate friends for my wife and kids, to the fact there's a statue of a guy named Eric Seymore in downtown Colorado Springs that my wife and I saw walking to dinner one night. And that's my first name is really William. And I was like, you can't make that up. And I said, so I was like, I feel like God's pushing us out here. And so while I was out there, started a online store with Shopify. Had somebody start making some Rise hats and t-shirts, and nobody bought them, and we lost a pile of money. And I was just like, you know, I feel like I should keep doing this, right? But I got this whole infrastructure set up to do apparel, and I never intended to be in the apparel game. It was, for me, it was just a function of, this is how I can tell my story. And we didn't have the shirt you're wearing at the time. And probably 6 months into this deal, I called my buddies and I was like, what if I did a shirt that says "Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys"? And they were like, you should do it. And then I was immediately like, nah, I don't think so. I was like, it's just too in your face.
What did
like,
your gear have before? Like your
just the Rise logo.
Just the Rise logo.
Just the Rise logo. Yeah, and it was the story about, you know, 11-4, and I had a brief synopsis kind of the turkey piece and the Bible challenge. And so, you know, and I was like, nah, what if we did like, be nice, hunt turkeys, or love people, hunt turkeys, or, you know, something not as in your face as Love Jesus, Hunt Turkeys. And they were like, you need to do it. Like, don't be scared. And I was like, you know what? I'm not selling any t-shirts anyway. I might as well not sell these too. And so,
you're just setting yourself up for the rest of your life with t-shirts.
Yeah. Like, I made them, and, you know, a few people bought them, and we continued, you know, just to have a lot of things as a family positively happen to us out there. It was a great time for us to kind of reset the cage on what's important. And then, you know, we moved back this year in the first week of January, moved back home. And, you know, that kind of leads us back to a week after we get home, I get this email to go to NWTF. And so God had done all these things from an infrastructure, from a design, from a relationship standpoint, right? To get me, I believe, to get ready to go to NWTF. And to the fact that I had lunch with a buddy of mine growing up who's in the apparel business that got me hooked up with the screen printer that I'd never met before here, to get all the apparel ready for NWTF. And they had a gap in the schedule. And, you know, just full transparency, we spent a lot of money we didn't really have set aside to spend on t-shirts and hats to go to NWTF. And I told my wife, I was like, this is a big risk. I said, but I just feel like we need to walk through this door. And even riding up there with my buddy, I was doubting the whole thing. And I was like, I don't know that people are going to buy this stuff. I don't know that they're going to.
Let's pause there. Like, thinking of, like, okay, you said you sold only a few hundred t-shirts. Well, like, when you decided that you got, or, you know, you're going to the NWTF show, how did you make that decision on, like, how much to order? Like, I mean, because from what I saw, you guys were flowing through stock, constantly refilling. And, like, the whole time I was thinking, like, I can't believe they brought enough shirts.
Well, and so I'm a big proponent of work hard, pray hard. You're going to screw up daily, and God will meet you somewhere in the middle, right? Like, and so, like, I'm always been a big proponent of working hard in the direction you feel like God's leading, right? And so, I mean, I sat down and did some quick math and said, all right, there's 100,000 people come to this thing, and let's say 1% of them want a t-shirt. Well, that's 1,000. I said, I think, start looking at math and what you can afford and trying to figure it all out. And I talked to the screen printer, and I remember saying this. I said, I'm going all in on Love Jesus Hunt Turkeys. I said, I don't want that. We'll do a few rise pieces. I said, but I want 90% to be Love Jesus Hunt Turkeys. I said, because that's the message. I said, and I believe for people that's what they'll want. And so we begged, borrowed, stole, scrapped, compiled all this stuff and got up there, and we still didn't have enough. I mean, we sold out basically Friday evening of most everything. But for me, like you talked about at the beginning of this podcast about the almost like a Black Friday rush of people coming through the gate. And that first morning, I mean, as soon as it opened, people flocked in and started buying t-shirts, and it didn't stop, man. And I got fairly emotional a few times because, again, for me, like this was 4 years of why finally hit. And I was like, okay, like it all makes sense now.
Yeah. Well, like I said, the impact of us being able to witness that. And that's why I love the story. And I was so thankful to the Lord. The Lord was just like, I got your card or whatever. And he was like, I every day I wake up and I'm like, Lord, who am I supposed to call today? What do you want me to do? And it was like, call Eric today and see if he wants to come on the podcast. And I was like, oh, I had no doubt that you were going to say yes. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't really know this guy that well. You know what I mean? And like, we kind of had a nice conversation, but I was just like, this story right here is so legit from like the blood of the lamb and the word of the testimony. It's like that, your testimony story. And we got to witness that. And that's what I think, like, more importantly, a witness of Jesus Christ is somebody that gets to tell the story of they saw what God did through humans. You know what I mean? Like, that's what a witness is. They see something and then they share that story. You know what I mean? Like if somebody goes on a stand and says if they're going to be at court, they're a witness, we're going to call the witness, is because they witnessed something and they saw it. And it's like, I mess up so often with like trying to like walk with people, and I want to tell them like what the Bible says versus just telling them stories of what God's done in my life. And every time I just tell stories of like how God's impacted my life, like those seem to be far more impactful. So I love your story, and I love that we got to witness and be a part of that. And like, I don't know, it was just really awesome for me. So
yeah, it was interesting.
Well, yeah, and
go ahead.
What I think it was crazy, and you may not have known this, but we had Triple Creek Calls, we had the Troy Ellis Foundation, and there was this where we were in this little corner, man. It was just, it was some people that loved Jesus and that were probably struggling. I know different people were struggling with different things. And we were setting up Wednesday night. Y'all may have been there or not, but Obed Ellis and his family came to the Troy Ellis Foundation late. And it was just my buddy Zach and I were there. And I was tired and still doubting and still, questioning. And Obed is a school teacher from Alabama whose son died while they were turkey hunting. When they started a foundation that raises money to provide sports equipment to kids. And he walked by. This is hard for me to tell, like, because this is kind of for me another point where I was pretty emotional, but he walked by and was like, I like that shirt. And then, we went down there for a second just to be courteous neighbors and say hello. And he starts telling his story about how he lost his son turkey hunting. And he was with his son when someone else shot him and, watched his son die. And he's telling the story. And he talks about how he loves that guy and has forgiven that guy and feels sorry for that guy. Right? Because that's what God wants us to do. And then I just start, I just lose it. And he's like, man, I'm sorry to upset you. I said, no. I said, this is exactly what I needed to hear. I said, because who cares if I don't sell a t-shirt? Like, you know,
Yeah.
I don't have any real problems, you know, and God's gonna provide no matter what. And to hear a guy talk about that, like his love and forgiveness of someone that, you know, shot his son because Obed loves Jesus that much and understands what it's all about, it was like the most timely thing ever. And then, you know, you guys coming by throughout the day and encouraging me when we were tired or hungry, or other people just stopping to pray, or just, you know, every day there was these little pokes. We're like, hey man, like keep going, keep doing. The Triple Creek calls, folk, Mike and Melissa, they're just awesome. Like we've established a relationship with them now, a relationship with y'all, and it was just, you know, I think God put all the right people together in that little corner, because that's what we all needed, was that encouragement, support, and love, and just you know, that's what, for me, that's what Rise is really all about. Like everybody's a zero, man. None of us are tens. We're all zeros, and we got to have that grace to bridge us from the 0 to the 10, which, you know, the 10's God. And so, you know, we're all imperfect in different ways. We all struggle with the basically different versions of the same thing. And I think it's important to know that we're not alone, and we're not, you know, the devil gets you in isolation. He wants to isolate you.
Yeah.
And when we feel like we're on an island, or we feel like nobody's having the problems we have, we feel like, you know, other people may be struggling with these things, whether it's business or family or alcohol or anger or whatever it is, right? Like you look around, and you're like, I'm not alone. We're all imperfect, and I got a bunch of people that are here to help me along my journey. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah, man, dude, it is awesome. It's so cool how he. I'm constantly reminded of the verse that don't lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. Or, you know, in some of the real or the ancient translations, you know, acknowledge the divine, to really like acknowledge that he has a hand in every single one of our calls, moments, in everything. And there is a spiritual element to all of us, you know, and there's a spiritual thing that's taking place right now. It's not like, oh, this might have happened and there might have been some cute thing that went down. It's like, no, absolutely everything is orchestrated. I mean, the way that Lee and I met is like wild to me. Like our story is just, I don't know, I never sat with a dude and cried so much at a lunch table when him and I met, because he was an answer to prayer that I prayed for somebody to get involved with this in a way that we like could really do it and be that type A personality and be the driver of a lot of this and all that kind of stuff. And I literally sat with one of my mentors the day before I met your cousin, but sat there and we were praying for that person to come along in my life. And then the very next day I meet his cousin. He's like, you got to meet my cousin Lee. And I'm just, it's all of it. There's not a day, there's not a moment, there's none of it that isn't, he's got his hand in it, all of it. And that's, I love, you know, when you're saying, you're asking the question, like, why? Whenever I get to that place where I'm like, why God, why this, why that? And like, as soon as I remember to ask the question, what are you trying to teach me through this? Because I'm the dude that prayed, mold me, shape me, use me. And whenever he starts molding, I'm like, ooh, Dad, that kind of hurts. Don't mold me that hard.
Yeah,
you know?
Or I don't want to go. I don't want to be molded that way.
I don't want to be molded that way. I have a plan to go this way. Mm-hmm. But then it's like, I'm shaping you, son. And what can I learn from this? All of a sudden, that's when it's like, the light bulbs come on. I'm like, I can't do this without you. Do your thing. And yeah.
We had a guy come in and preach at church the other night, and he framed it in a way that I'd never heard before. But he said, you know, faith and fear operate in the same space, and you get a choice, right? And that's the point where you're like, you know, cast your worries upon him. Like give it up to God and say, look, you have a choice to either say like, I'm scared and I'm going to try to do this on my own, or you have an opportunity to say, Lord, I'm scared and you got this.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I trust that this is part of your plan. Right?
Yeah.
Because think it's something and I still struggle. Yeah, man, I struggle daily. I get too mad. I get too angry. I get too focused on the things that aren't important. Um, you know, but again, I've also come to realize, and I think a lot of the things that I've struggled with in life, like you talked about telling stories early, it's given me some context to have some street cred with people to say like, hey man, I've been where you've been, and here's what I know. Like nobody's too broken for God to use them, and nobody's too bad for God to use them, and there's nothing you can do that's going to separate you from the love of God.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just that simple.
Yeah.
And you know, and look, you know, yes, it's scary to walk through open doors with uncertainty. Like but that's where when he puts us in those spots, like you said, where you're like, ooh, I'm uncomfortable. Like that's where he wants us. He wants us uncomfortable, so we have to rely.
Yeah. Like that childlike faith, I go back to that, and it's like, it's not childish faith. It's childlike faith. It's because then we're dependent on him. My children are dependent on me. I have to depend on my Heavenly Father, because otherwise I'll figure it out. I'm no doubt that I'll come up with some solution or whatever that, that kind of works out or whatever. The world has systems that you can use and operate in, and you'll figure some stuff out and get along. But it's like when we really depend on him, and we flow in his path and plan for us, that's when things just, for me, click. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. Doesn't mean there's not going to be more molding and shaping that takes place. It doesn't mean that people ain't going to hate you, because he said, if you love me and follow me, people are going to hate you because they hated me first. That's that. So, but yeah, man, that the fear versus faith thing, man, it's such a big thing. It's such a big piece of this thing, because I got a good buddy that Jamie Walden, that he preaches a lot in Colorado. He's in Durango, and he's an awesome guy, and he really makes the amazing argument for the fact that like fear is really what caused Satan to fall in his pride. Pride goes before the fall, but fear that God isn't going to take care of you is really what led to Satan thinking like, I'm not going to get my own, and so I'm going to go figure out a way in my pride that I can go get my own. And that's really what we all got to be challenged with every day. Is like, are we so prideful that we think that God isn't going to take care of us when he says he's going to, and so we're going to go do it by ourselves. And that's fear. It comes out of fear that we're going to go get our own. And then it's like pride all just swoops in and takes us down that whole path. So,
well, and that, that's always been a big struggle for me. Like I said, I mean, it's been one of those things where like, I've done this, or I can do that, or I can handle it, right? And it's that arrogance piece where, like, I really have and continue sometimes to think I'm doing these things, and I'm not doing any of it. I mean, he's given me skills and resources and talents, right, and opportunities, but he's directing it all. I mean, and if he wants it to succeed, it will. And if he doesn't, it won't. And that's, the biggest thing for me, I think, with getting diagnosed with cancer at a young age, as healthy, is that, man, control's an illusion. Like, we're not in control. And the quicker we realize that and give it up to God, the easier life is. Right? And just say, Lord, like, yeah, I can't control any of this. Right? I just got to pray and trust in you.
Yeah, I want to go back to like when you said you were through your journey through the Bible, and then you found out this news. Well, I mean, before that, do you think you were fully in a spot that you actually gave control to God, like, or were you on their way there, or was this like God saying like surrender?
For me, man, I mean, I think at the time it was just me checking on the block. Hey, I read today, check. Right. Oh. Hey, I read some, and look, there were days obviously that there was very pertinent stuff, but it was just another task to accomplish, another trophy, right? Another, hey, I did this. I read the Bible in a year, right? For me, but that night, man, I'm telling you, that night, like I really was just like, Uncle, you got me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not running anymore. Right. And even over the next year, I continued to run a little bit, but and there's days now, man, I struggle every day, and I screw up something every day. Right. But I think the difference now is that I'm at a point where, uh, there are just some things that I really choose not to do anymore. Some things that I intentionally choose to do now that I understand. One of my biggest things is just like who can I be around? How can I sharpen others? How can I be around others to sharpen me? Right. And how can I, with the time he has given me back, like, how can I do some good things for his purpose, for his cause, for his kingdom? Right. And that may just mean being a better father and a husband.
Yeah.
That may mean just being a better friend. Right. It may mean making some t-shirts that say love Jesus on turkeys and giving people an opportunity to wear their faith around the woods or the school or whatever. But I mean, it's just, hey, what can I do with the time he's giving me back and not squander it?
Amen. Well, before we wrap up, so turkey season is, thank you for sharing all that, by the way, too. But turkey season is right around the corner. So you got a big old gobbler tied to a tree yet, or where are you at on that?
You guys got to be like weeks away.
Yeah.
I know.
No, so I was supposed to go to Florida this past weekend with my son and Zach's son. Zach is the other guy working in NWTF, and they got the flu, so we didn't make it. But I'm leaving. We got opening day of baseball on Saturday here, and I'm leaving straight from opening day to go to Florida and hunt there. And then William and I will go to Texas with some buddies. We're gonna make a trip back out west to see some friends from Colorado. We're gonna hunt South Carolina.
So this is where your God's lining up in your life again.
So I'll say this, right? Like, again, I'm a big fan of working hard and God meeting in the middle, but I may have also worked on my schedule during the 90 days to make sure that the calendar is very conducive to me spending much time in Turkey. So,
Okay.
But it's cool, man. We made some great friends in Colorado. Our kids were in a hybrid Christian school, and that was the first time they've ever been in faith-based education. And that was a huge thing for us, man. And so we met some great people that we're going to spend some time with out west and hunt. And for me, really, I selfishly love the turkey hunt, and it is amazing. But for me, just being in the woods gives me a lot of time to reflect. Like I believe God is present there and speaks to me there. But really, it's a chance for me to be with people and pour into people and sharpen people and just, I was telling somebody this the other day, like, for me to travel to hunt, to get away is so much better than hunting here, because there's no distractions, and you can really you can grow those relationships with kids and friends and have conversations that matter, right? And build relationships, and that for me, and see things and do cool things. And that's for me, that's what it's all about.
Why do you think turkey hunt in the South is so much more popular than it is in the North? Well, what is it about turkeys and the Southern boys? I mean, don't get me wrong. I am people think I'm crazy when I tell them up here in Michigan that, like, I'm borderline. If you put a gun to my head and said turkey season or deer season, it would be really, really hard for me to make a decision which one to pick.
Yeah. Well, first of all, y'all have a way bigger deer than we do, so let's start with that.
Well, we're in Michigan, bro.
Easy. Easy.
Yeah.
We're close.
Yeah.
So, if you notice, back here, I've got a bunch of turkey hunting books, and the Bible is basically what I have up here. But for me, so I didn't grow up hunting. My dad is not a hunter, and I was fortunate enough. My best friend and his dad used to tote me hunting, but I killed a turkey the first morning turkey hunting of my life by myself. Right, and that is very rare.
Yeah.
Right? But from that moment on, I was hooked. I mean, and I love Tom Kelly and what he writes, and I think he's framed turkey hunting in a way that is just, for me, it's a chess match, it's strategy, it's it's just a very dynamic game, and it's. I tell people all the time, you're either a turkey hunter or you aren't, and there's very little middle ground there. I mean, but if you're eat up with it, it's you make a lot of irrational decisions when it comes around turkey hunting.
100%.
And I think back, like when I was growing up in the '90s, man, turkey, there just weren't that many turkeys around. Right? And I know that even some people will be mad for me even saying that, because in the '60s and '70s there were even less, right? And so, but it's just something, I think there was always this mystique around, like, you killed a turkey, like that was a big deal, man. Like, and because I remember when I killed that bird, coming back to the cabin, and my buddy and our other friends have been turkey hunting for years and never killed a turkey. And here I come back with a bird, and they're like, how did that happen?
First time guy goes out.
Yeah. And I was looking back through a bunch of like old stuff I had, because we're kind of in the process of moving back, and I found a bunch of my old turkey tags from the 90s, and they all still got the stickers on them, right? I mean, we just didn't kill a lot of turkeys back then, either through poor performance as a hunter or availability of birds or time or whatever. But I just think there's always been this mystique, especially in the South, with it. And culturally, for me, that was one big change going out west. Like here, just nobody dove hunts out west. Here I've seen people spend as much on a reception following a dove hunt as I've seen people spend on a wedding. So I think culturally here, just certain.
I'm sorry. Did you say a reception following a dove hunt?
Oh yeah.
Like a dove hunt party?
You've never seen
that?
Oh
yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm sheltered, guys. I haven't had social media for 15 years. I don't know.
Yeah, I actually don't even see it on social media. It's just like if you know enough Southern people and they start talking about dove hunting, you're like, whoa.
Well, I understand dove hunting, but he's saying a reception party after the dove hunt that's bigger than people's wedding is what the man said. I was unaware of this.
These are things I've seen. These are things I've actually, like, I was at this.
Can I get an invite? Can I come down to a dove hunt reception? Like, I don't want a turkey hunt. I just want to have a dove hunt reception.
I'll go turkey hunting.
I want to see what the dove hunt reception's like.
Shrimp cocktail, whole barbecue, everything, man. I'm telling you.
This sounds great.
Yeah, I'll go turkey
Do I
hunting.
get to wear a fancy hat too, or no? No hat?
You can if you want. Yeah. You should
no one else will.
No one else.
Everything.
Well, I don't know why.
You come down here, just.
I feel like I just immediately associated this with the Kentucky Derby. like that's what I associated this dove banquet to. I don't know. My bad.
I feel like it's more like an oversized crawfish boil, but for doves.
He said they got shrimp and
yeah, they're by the ocean. It's not a big deal for them.
All right, my bad. All right.
Yeah, that's true. That's the other thing. It's hard to get good seafood out west and where y'all live.
Yeah.
Yeah, this man last week we were in Iowa, in the middle of the country, the furthest from every ocean.
That's true.
And he's like,
he didn't get sushi.
He goes, "Oh, well, let's go get sushi." And I'm like, "What is wrong with you?"
Admit it. What we ate
better than that.
was delicious.
The sushi experience was great. I don't know.
What was the thing we had?
Okay, so they brought out the sushi guy was really nice, and he's like, he brought out a gift, and I'm not touching it. And he goes, he's like, "Hey, got you guys something. Don't send it back. It's coming to the table." We're like, "All right." We're like, whatever. Like, it's their server. He's a very nice guy, and he all of a sudden brings out this hot rock and sets it on the table, and then brings out a Wagyu steak cut up in chunks, in slices. And he's like, 10 seconds on each side is medium rare, 20 seconds medium. And we're throwing them on this rock, and we're just destroying the steak.
So good.
So good. Out of nowhere. We actually ordered another round of it. Like, it was that good. We're like, we got to do that again. And then we got our Iowa sushi.
I didn't mind it. I'm used to it in Michigan.
It was probably like walleye.
It was channel cat, like,
musky.
Musky. That's funny.
Hey, when you're dumb to it, you just don't know. You don't know any better.
Yeah, I was like, you guys. I was like, sushi, really? Raw fish, all carted all the way over here. Like, I don't know. It wasn't bad, but
I enjoyed it.
the steak wagyu was
Yes.
that was nice. That was nice.
So after the NWTF, kind of what's coming up for Rise? You got any big plans? Are you seeing the wave continue?
Man, we've been like the dog chasing the car. I mean, we caught it now and trying to figure out what to do with it. And, I'm learning every day about, this business that I had no experience in. But, what I've seen is really at the smaller scale, when I started making hats and handing it out, people saying, hey, man, you got to keep telling that story. It's like now that the story is a lot more widespread, having some opportunities to do stuff like this or speak at a church and, or do some different things. And so, I think really for us, if I can ever slow down and finish a book about this story, try to put it out. And then, I tell people all the time, like, I don't really know where we're going from here, which is probably the most irresponsible business decision ever. But I really, I'm trying to be proactive and do some things with what we have now, right? Just making sure we have inventory and good customer service and getting people the things they want and taking input and advice. But, really just kind of praying and hoping, just saying, God, like, show me where you want this thing to go. And maybe it is, maybe Rise exists to fill the gap in faith forward hunting apparel that doesn't really exist. Or maybe it becomes more of a ministry outreach. In April, one thing that we did last year was we took some proceeds from sales and donated to cancer research at Levine Cancer Center. We'll do that same thing this year. That's something I have a passion for. My hope is as Rise grows, we can give some money back to Camp McCall and help pour into the ministry there with young men, because I think it's super critical for what Camp McCall does. It puts young men, both counselors and boys that attend the camp, in an environment that allows them to take risks and grow together and grow in faith. And it's a super cool venue to do that. And I think it gives them the confidence that appeared in their life that it's okay to be Christian, and that it's okay to stand up for the right things at school and ball and different things like that. And so, that's a real passion for me. So I think, if I had to pick where Rise would go, and I know that God's going to do that for us, but I think, we continue in the faith forward apparel avenue and start doing more with, some events to sharpen young men and give some money to cancer and start to do some more good with the assets that God's given us. So.
I love it.
Awesome.
I love it. So if you had to close this with, through your whole journey, I guess if we handed you an open mic and you just wanted to speak to our listeners, whether that's 5 people or 100 people, I guess, what would you just leave them a message with after this cough?
After the cough. I think the thing that I want people to understand, is that God made us perfectly imperfect, right? And that is okay, right? Like, He wants us to rely on Him, and in order to create that reliance, He's going to create some adversity and failure in our life, and that's okay, and that we're not alone in that as believers, right? We all struggle with stuff. So I think, one of the things I'm big on is accountability without judgment, to say, hey, you're not living right, you're not doing right, but I love you anyway, and God loves you anyway, and let's go through this together. And really just to say, we're all, I said this before, but we're all zeros, right? Stop trying to be a 10 because there aren't any. We're all zeros. We got to rely on God, and just as part of that reliance, have faith to walk through those open doors, right? Because He's opened them for a reason. You may not understand why, and you may not know what's behind that door. And that's okay, right? Because we live in a world where people want immediate answers for everything. We live in that culture where I want it now, and I want to know why, and I have a right to know why, and I'm entitled to know why. The reality is, when it comes to God, we're not, and He'll reveal it in His time. And so, just trust that, His timing is everything. And a guy that I told this story to that built the structure I'm in right now, I told him about being 2 weeks behind in my reading plan the day after I figured out I had cancer. And that was how I got to John 11:4. And he said to me, he said, you know what that tells you? He said, even in our failures, God's timing is perfect.
Amen.
And that's where I would really leave it, is that even in our failures, God's timing is
perfect.
So did you finish the Bible in 1 year?
I did.
Did you?
I did. I finished it, and I'm much longer than a year into my second 1 year reading plan, but we're getting through it. So I still fail miserably all the time, but man, I'm reading, and on the days that I read, it's amazing how relevant and timely it is. And the days that I don't, it makes me remember that I should be reading every day.
Mm-hmm. I love that because, like I said, that's kind of where I'm at too. And I actually have no idea how many pages I have to read to make this actually read it through in 1 year.
Well, and I think that though is a big message that I had to learn too, is that like Eric said, He loves you unconditionally, and He loves all His children unconditionally. And so like, even in our failures, He loves us, and it's not about getting through this much reading today. It's acknowledging Him and inviting Him into that day. And it's like, it's a relationship. It's not like a transactional thing. And like, we always look at it like, well, if I read 5 pages or 10 pages, I'm going to get more from God. That's a transactional viewpoint. It's like, really, it's just about inviting Him into our lives in every aspect of it. I'm not saying don't read your Bible every day, but what I am saying is read your Bible every day.
I didn't read it this morning.
and invite Him into every one of those spaces. And if you don't, and if you fail, He's already forgiven you and He loves you. And don't believe the lies when the enemy comes whispering at you that He doesn't love you and you're not good enough and you're not worthy and all the garbage that comes at us. Realize that that's real, and that's not necessarily you and your thoughts, and the enemy's trying to punk you to get you to isolate, like Eric said, so where you're like, oh, woe is me, I'm not good enough, I can't do this, I can't get through this, and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, devil, leave, get away from me. I follow Jesus. I don't care about your garbage. I know I'm loved because I'm a son because He said I'm a son. I'm a daughter because he said I'm a daughter. Not because of all the things that I did, because I can never earn my way into heaven. There's no way I can. It had to be Jesus's blood. So I'll stop preaching now, but I get fired up. So
no,
it's good.
And just remember, He may be putting you 2 weeks behind on purpose, so you're right where He wants you when He wants you to be there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's why my daughter slept through the morning. The night.
So you'd be there. Perfect, man.
Awesome. I will. The only thing that I have to say to you is this is probably the first piece of camouflage that I have bought in 10 years. Like I did it before it was cool.
No, you didn't.
I did it before it was cool.
I'm not letting him get this. I'm not letting him have it.
I stopped wearing camouflage while hunting like 10 years ago because like I was in the industry and I got sick of like promoting all these different camos and the patterns and like people saying like this is better than this, and so I just got sick of that and said, well, I'm just gonna go straight solids. And so I haven't bought a actual camouflage anything until I saw your shirt. So that if that's not a sign, I don't know what is.
Hey man, I mean, I'm proud of you. You look great.
You look great. I mean, I love the fact that my man's trying to claim that he coolified solids.
I'm not saying. I said I did it before it was cool.
I just made up a new word, so like it doesn't matter. I made up coolified. Coolified solid.
I just said I just did it before it was cool.
Yeah.
Whether how many people saw me wearing it was like, that's cool. That's.
I mean, I met one of you. Yeah, never mind. I ain't gonna. All right. Well, Eric.
So how about the turkey report in Michigan?
What?
Oh, you got it,
oh, dude. Just get up here, dude. We can shoot a turkey like right now. Like,
it's I will say, I've traveled a lot of places turkey hunting. I still think Michigan is hands down one of the top 5 states for turkey hunting. I'm saying it loud and proud because, yeah. Like Kentucky's got a lot of turkeys, but I hate those turkeys. Like,
Oh, they're hard as heck to hunt.
They're so hard. Michigan turkeys are big, dumb, and there's a big number of them. So
Get
I
up
really
here,
enjoy
dude.
it.
We'll go rip a bird down in 2 seconds. Like it'll be like, I don't know. I think that's one of the reasons I love turkey hunting. I love the spring. I love everything greening up and all that stuff. But I would say one of the reasons I'm not as avid about turkey hunting is because I've never not been able to kill a turkey in the season. So like if I want to go kill a big time, I can go kill a big time. And so like I've never struggled to get that done. Hopefully this is my year. But like I love taking kids.
Did you say hopefully this is your year?
Yeah, I
that
know.
you don't
I was
kill one?
joking. I was joking.
Easy.
Yeah,
You can just film me the whole.
I bought Bomar's crazy expandable because what is it called? The chicken head? What was it called?
I thought you didn't get G5.
No, I did get G5 thing.
Okay.
What were the B reels? What are they called? Dirty Bird.
Dirty Bird.
Dirty Bird. I got messed up. I'm going guillotine this year, all the way. So yeah, I've done it a couple times. It's super fun. I love watching their heads fly off and letting them get like five yards away. Like that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a whole other thing there, man.
Dude, that's what I'm
super
saying.
cool.
Like I've had to like go to that. Like last year, I hunted with my 410 pistol because I wanted to just shoot one like
The
at
judge?
I wanted to shoot one like at 5 feet. That was my goal, and I didn't.
Well, if it's that easy, y'all need to keep some space open mid-May for me. So
Come on up, dude. I'm not joking, dude. You can
100%.
like you're full on welcome. We love like turkey hunting is like we'll get you on a bird. Come up, like seriously,
That'd be awesome.
no joke.
Big birds.
Big ones.
I love it. Was it like a 25-pound bird or what?
I think you can easily do it. I really do say
Wow.
that.
Yeah.
Nonchalant.
Corn-fed bird.
My nephew, he killed a bird with 11 beards. 11. It's a big.
How much did it weigh?
I don't know how much it weighed. It was a big bird though. It's like I think it's number 4 in the state right now for the beard length.
Just promise me we're not gonna have any sushi when I come visit.
No, I'm gonna take you to sushi for sure and say like it can't be that much different.
Yeah, it can. It can.
Musky rolls.
Musky rolls. We're gonna get you bass rolls. I caught you this delicious bass, Eric, and I made it into sushi.
You don't know what you don't know. I love
just
it.
pick out a few of the grubs out of these bluegill fillets. There's just a couple grubs in there. Do you ever seen that where they're full of grubs?
No.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, bluegill fillets or like the bullhead fillets. Yeah,
Oh, you're filleting bullhead.
dude, I got into a spear fishing thing a while back. I was shooting them in the bottom of the lake, swimming around with a snorkel. It's legal.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
I've
I was
looked.
gonna say, tread lightly.
Tread lightly. It is completely legal. Now you need a permit for it. A few years back you didn't. You still can do it. It's still legal. You just have to get a permit and
Oh, you're snorkeling and spearing them.
yeah,
Okay.
spear gun.
Spear gun.
Super
Sure.
awesome.
I thought you were spearing them through the ice. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not
No,
legal.
snorkel spear. Super fun.
Okay.
All right.
Awesome.
But seriously, Eric, come up this May. Like if you want to, we'll pick a weekend or whatever time works good for you, and like we'll need like an hour and a half in the woods. So
No, we're gonna go after the biggest. I have some deep dark turkeys that
Wow.
yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
he's bringing you into his honey hole now.
Yeah.
He's getting excited.
Yeah, these are like true big timber toms that like come through the woods, and they're like when they're spitting and drumming, and like the whole woods is vibrating, and like their gobble just echoes through the timber. Like yeah, I say this out of respect for turkeys. Anybody can go kill a turkey, depending on where you are. Like make it easy and stuff. But when you pick your turkeys to like go after and like make it a special thing,
For
that's
sure.
when it's like
For sure. It's just like deer hunting. If you're like, okay, that's the bird I'm going to go after, definitely he's going to elude you and you're going to have a struggle. And you're like, I mean, but it's like, I don't know. I'm like, if it's a 3-year-old
I'm
bird,
going to
shoot.
get you more into turkey hunting this year.
I'm excited. Let's go. I've killed a lot of turkeys, dude.
Don't get me wrong. I don't doubt that at all.
Yeah, I've killed way more turkeys than I killed deer.
We're gonna make it different though. You gotta be
Because y'all's deer season is like 12 hours up there, isn't it?
What?
12 months.
Isn't your deer season like 12 hours?
It's like 12 months.
Short.
No, our deer season starts in October and
1st
goes to
and now March.
yeah, go into March.
With a rifle?
No, with a rifle you get like, well, traditionally 15 days, and then now we have all these like added on gun seasons and all this craziness. So like, Yeah, we don't really like that. We want it to shorten. So we like bow hunting. So
you can hunt with a bow, yeah. So like in South Carolina, you can hunt with a rifle from August 15th to January 1st.
That's why you guys don't have deer.
well, I'm sorry. What'd you just say?
Yeah, August 15th to January 1st.
August 15th.
So
How hot is
you can kill
it?
velvet deer.
So hot.
Like,
I mean, you got to hunt with snake boots, shorts, and a thermocell, like for sure.
Ew.
So,
But
Yeah.
you can kill velvet deer.
yeah, you can kill deer in velvet.
Like how? What's
wait,
like your
you can
average?
kill in August with a gun?
Down in certain counties, yeah, it opens with a rifle August 15th. And then,
Are there deer
and
left in those counties?
Progressively, as you move up from the coast, it's like every 2 weeks. So you got September 1st, September 15th.
Wait, are there deer? Are there legitimately like are there deer doing decent in those areas?
Yeah, I mean, there's deer. There's tons of deer everywhere here. I mean, it's now, and one thing you've seen, and I'm sure y'all have too, like the difference between when I started hunting in mid 90s to now is the emphasis on quality management and trying to shoot 3.5 and older deer, and cameras have obviously changed that a lot too. But yeah, I mean, we have plenty of deer here. They're not that big. I mean, a big body weight buck here is 215 pounds.
So I love the
120, 130 inches, right? I mean, so, I think the state record here may be like this is grossly misquoted, right? This in like the 160s is the state record.
I mean,
so,
I'm game to come down there and
typically,
shoot a deer in August with a rifle in velvet.
it's so hot.
Snakes.
I mean, I got to deal with snakes in Kentucky, so we could meet up in Kentucky too and shoot a turkey if you're game.
No, I don't want to go around to Kentucky turkeys anymore.
Why?
I just don't like them.
I'm not asking you. I'm asking him.
So I like turkeys anywhere. So Kentucky's fine, Michigan's fine, whatever. I mean, you want to go to Canada, the moon? I'm good.
He goes, I like turkeys anywhere. Throws hey, meat, big meat.
Then I will go.
Okay. Cool.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, this has been fun. Thank you for sharing the story and everything, man. And press on, dude. Keep sharing it. It's awesome.
Yeah, so if somebody wants one of these,
Yeah.
again, amazing T-shirts. This is the first time that I've ever bought a camo shirt. You have other colors too. Yeah. So if anybody's like me, that's like, and like I feel like the North isn't big mossy oak guys. So
No.
you do have a supply or a variety of different colors. So if
For guys like you, we even have some solids.
So I went against the grain. When I'm not shameful of it. I enjoy this shirt. It's comfy. But if somebody does want to order a T-shirt, learn more about the Rise, get involved in any way, how do they do that?
RiseTurkeyHunting.com, and we've got Love Jesus Hunt Turkeys, Love Jesus Hunt Deer, Love Jesus Hunt Ducks. We've got some new designs coming out. We got stuff for kids, and so that's what I'm excited about now, that there's some visibility on us is some cool stuff coming out and coming up with some new ideas. We did a partnership recently with Fowler Hide Supply out of Texas. We're going to do some limited edition turkey totes this week. Actually tomorrow they'll get released. And then,
turkey tote. Was a turkey tote?
It's like a leather.
Where you carry it out. Yeah, sure. That is what I need.
To get the turkey out the woods?
Yeah, it's like, because, like, sorry, this is my perception on a turkey tote is, like, Southern guys love waterfowl hunting so much that they wanted to make it cool to have a turkey lanyard to carry a turkey out to, kind of like what you have, like the duck lanyard, which I never see the duck hunters actually use anyways. It's, like, just for a picture. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, no, I did not mean to offend you, but that's my northern perception of all this.
There's a lot of accuracy in, hey, I just need this cool tote for when I take a picture at the truck, right? But I will say this though, like Fowler, those guys are out of Lubbock and they're believers, and we kind of got to talking in the fall, and I met them for the first time in NWTF, but I was a little hesitant about this turkey tote idea, right? And this thing, it's not inexpensive, but it's high quality. I mean, it's like an heirloom type deal. And I used it for the first time this past spring. I bought one. And the first time I carried a turkey out of the woods with that thing, I was like, this is way easier than just slinging them over your back and have his beak hitting you in the leg while you're bouncing through the woods.
And the spurs digging in your hands.
Yeah, that's right. And then I found a pair of elk sheds on something out west, and I was like, "What am I going to do with these things?" So I used my turkey tote to just lash them together and hook them on my vest and carry them out. And I was like, "This is the greatest thing ever." So it's way more usable than a waterfowl tote. It's very, very versatile.
Very versatile. Cool.
That's like that's fighting words to some.
What's
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Oh, waterfowlers?
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't. Shoot ducks. Yeah. I got nothing. I'm trying to be nice.
I love it. So the Rise turkeyhunting.com. Seriously, I think it's an amazing story. I truly enjoyed watching it from the outside, and not even knowing your story before somebody else shared it with me. Like, I felt like it just felt right. Like I loved watching it. And like I said, I didn't even know the entire story, and there was something special about it.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool because y'all are part of the story. So it's there's very few of us that will be able to be like, "Yep, we were all together at the very first NWTF there." And
I get to say I was there.
Yeah, so
like when somebody looks back, I'll be like, I was there.
Our strategy was
you coolified it. You coolified it the same way.
I coolified it. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah, all we did was deter people to like look left and freak them out, and they turned right and saw you guys.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that was our play.
Cool. Well, awesome, man. Well, you have a blessed day, man, and I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. And praying for the family with all that you got going on, man. That's a lot. That's heavy. So hopefully you get through that well and all that stuff. So.
Well, thanks, man. It's been awesome, and we're just we're excited to see what God does next.
Right on. Mm-hmm. Good deal. Cool, bro. Well, have an awesome rest of the day, and we'll be in touch. And
we'll see you in May.
Good. Thanks, guys.
Sorry, man.
See y'all in May.
See you in May.